the history of basketball.
That not only is the greatest shooter of all time,
Just
that almost
recently,
seems silly
he
to say
surpassed
because
James.
I think it's unanimously agreed upon everyone that Stephen Curry is the greatest shooter of all time. So it got me thinking, if Curry is the greatest, then who follows him in second place? Well, I did my own research about it.
The speed, the prettiness, the efficiency.
In choosing who are the greatest shooter of all time, we gotta first need to pick players that are qualified in this discussion. And also, this is not about who is the best, but it's about the greatest. And there is a big difference between the two. For example, here is two different NBA players. On the left side, he is attempting more threes per game with better efficiency. Does this make him greater than the other? No, because this guy is Luke Kennard, and on the right is Larry Bird. If we assume that being better is equivalent to being greater, then most of them will come from this era, as players in today's league are shooting more from deep with much superior efficiency. And we're not looking for that. We are seeking for players who dominated the league in their time using their shooting ability. And here are the players that I pick. Of course, Steph is on this list, with Bird, Reggie, Ray Allen, Nash, Damian Lillard, and many more. So, I've never thought it would take me full 8 hours just to gather all of the data I needed. Now, here are the criterias or stats that I'm going to use. Their efficiency at shooting the ball, their three-point performance, and accolades. And also, this is how the scoring on every spot will be computed. Being on the first spot will give a player 10 points. At second place is 9 points. At third is 8 points, and so on, until 10th place, which a player will earn 1 point. If ever I miss some important stats that should be included on this video, it's maybe because of being inapplicable for every players. For example, the NBA begun making three-point contests during 1986, meaning players before that year had no chance competing for that accolade. Now that everything is set, let's begin. First, field goal percentage. Chris Mullin got the first spot with 51%, then followed by Drazen Petrovic with a very small gap, and then Kevin Durant at third. Next, effective field goal. For those who doesn't know about this stat, it's basically just giving three-point shots much more value as it should be. Steph Curry grabbed the first place in this category with 58%, followed by Kyle Korver, and then surprisingly Steve Kerr at the third. Next, free throw percentage. I mean, of course, this should be included. Steph Curry again acquired the first place, then closely followed by Steve Nash and Mark Price with literally less than 1% margin. After that is their true shooting percentage. This stat is used to determine a player's overall shooting performance. With no surprise, Steph yet again grabbed the first spot, then followed by Kevin Durant with 62%, and then Reggie at third. Now let's jump to their three-point field goal percentage. Pete Maravich dominated everyone with almost a whopping 67% from deep. For those who were also surprised, Pistol Pete played one season when the three-point line was added, and on that year, he was by far the most accurate shooter than anyone else. Then he's followed by Steve Kerr and Drazen Petrovic. Next, most three-point made per game. Steph led this stat with for shots made a game, then followed by both Klay Thompson and Damian Lillard. After that is the player with the most seasons leading the NBA in 3 points made. Steph led the league in most threes 8 times, easily putting him at first place, and then James Harden and Ray Allen at second. Next is the most drilled threes in their career. Steph Curry yet again is on top with a mind-boggling 3,747 made shots behind the line, then followed by both Ray Allen and James Harden with more than 2,900 shots made. After that is their box plus minus. For anyone who's not familiar with this stat, its purpose is to represent a player's contribution in their team. Larry Bird grabbed the first place with a score of almost 7, then closely followed by Kevin Durant at second and James Harden at third with literally microscopic margin. Next, most buzzer beater shots made. Paul Pierce easily got the first spot with 6 game-winning shots, then followed by Damian Lillard and Larry Bird with 4 buzzer beaters. After that is their total championships. Steve Kerr held the first place with 5 rings, and then followed by both of the Splash Brothers with a total of 4 chips. Next, the player with the most MVP. Larry Bird is above anyone else with 3 trophies, and then followed by both Stephen Curry and Steve Nash at second. Next is their finals MVP. Both Kevin Durant and Larry Bird grabbed the first spot by having 2 of these achievements, and then followed by Stephen Curry, Dirk, and Paul Pierce. Now this is the last one, the most influential player among them. I know this is not a stat, but I think it should be included. I put Steph at first, then Bird at second, followed by Pistol Pete at third. I know it's not a perfect list for everyone, but for me, I feel like it's pretty solid. Now, it's time to find out who is actually the second greatest shooter of all time. Starting from the bottom, Gary Payton at last place with 9 points, Jason Terry follows with 10 points, and Glenn Rice with 11 points. Then Chris Mullin comfortably placed himself above them with 14 points. Moving up, Pistol Pete at 18th place with 18 points, followed by Drazen Petrovic at 19 points. Jonathan Redick and Kyrie Irving are toe-to-toe with 22 and 23 points each. Ahead of them is Paul Pierce with 27 points. Then we got both Kyle Korver and Steve Kerr almost made it to the top 10 with 32 points respectively. Entering the top 10, both Dirk and Klay Thompson made the cut with 35 points each. Reggie Miller takes the 8th place with 38 points. Slightly above him is Damian Lillard at 7th spot with 41 points. Steve Nash secures the 6th place with 46 points. Above him is Ray Allen with 48 points. James Harden climbs the 4th spot with 54 points. And now at the 3rd spot, we got Kevin Durant at a whopping 67 points. In the 2nd place, of course, Larry Bird holds strong as the second greatest shooter of all time at 71 points. And now, the greatest of all greats. Wait for it. And now we reach the top spot, where Stephen Curry leads and above anyone else with an impressive 112 points.